Well, we're all getting settled. I'd like to introduce to you Bhante Kusala. Is that sort of
Yeah,
the proper
just
title?
call me Kusala.
Okay. Some of you may know him who's come to our sittings before. And I have been utterly privileged to have had him continue to have him at HDS, certainly as one of our scholars and students, but also as a very skilled and very wise teacher of Dharma and meditation. So we're really blessed to have him lead our session today. So welcome and thank you for joining us.
We can relax, do some silent sittings for about 5 minutes, and then learn about Vipassana. Okay. Thank you, Krish, for inviting me to lead the meditation this morning. We have this fancy term to explore together, Vipassana. I hope you know the story behind this, that last week someone asked a question about calm abiding, and then in your answer you brought up the word Vipassana. Then I was sitting over there, so I was caught. Krish said, okay, why not we invite me to give an explanation on Vipassana. So here we are. And as we explore Vipassana, you will learn that it's nothing new. It is the same thing that you've been doing here. It's the same thing that Krish has been teaching to you. So nothing to be excited here. But it's an interesting term because it became popular in the late 20th century from the teachers who came from Burma, and they started popularizing this fancy term Vipassana because they were teaching only this one vehicle, Vipassana teaching. And everyone in the West thought, okay, this is what we should learn, and these monks have been practicing meditation for years in forests, and we should really try to learn Vipassana. It's not a critic, but when you do Vipassana, you do everything else. So that is the beauty of this meditation. When I said when you do Vipassana, you do everything else, means you also do tranquility together with Vipassana. So it's all inclusive. Okay? Let's see. So you have this handout. I hope everyone has one. I tried to put some points together so that we can take it home and also read at home later. And also it actually facilitates this small discussion before we do a sitting. So let's take a look at the first point. I have broken the word Vipassana into two pieces, V plus Passana. So V is a prefix. Passana comes from the root pas. To see is the meaning of that root. And V has a meaning, Passana has a meaning. V means specially, Passana means seeing. So Vipassana means specially seeing something. Or you can say a special way of seeing things. And that means there is also an ordinary way of seeing things. So we have to distinguish the two now. I have given the most popular word next, that is for Vipassana. They say Vipassana means insight. It's not outside, it is inside. I found that there is a word called insight. Outside also in English, but that doesn't have anything to do with insight. But outside generally also refers to something, seeing something outside of the big picture, the true picture. So let's say the ordinary way of seeing things lacks wisdom, and the special way of seeing things has wisdom. So when you see something, when someone sees in the ordinary way, that person has lust, hatred, and delusion. But when someone sees through insight, in other words, through wisdom, that person sees impermanence, suffering, and non-self nature. So these are actually fundamental teachings of the Buddha. From the day he became enlightened, he started teaching these things to people. And because we ignore impermanence, suffering, and non-self nature in most of our life, we don't really see it. So that was how he started teaching to ordinary people. So I have given an example in the next point to explore a little bit more about these two way of seeing. So an ordinary person, so the example is about seeing something. Let's say you are meditating and you have your eyes opened and you see something, and that something distracts you. And therefore you don't like it. You don't like distractions. So the ordinary person sees it as something to dislike and be unhappy due to the subtle aversion that manifests in your mind. So that is the ordinary person. So the person who cultivates insight, or the noble person, sees how the process of seeing manifests. That's a beautiful thing. It manifests depending on eye, the outside form, and eye consciousness. And the meeting of these three is called contact in Buddhism. When you have some contact, immediately you get feelings. The feelings can be pleasant, unpleasant, neither painful nor pleasant. So these three categories. So with insight, you see in these bold letters, you can also contemplate that this flesh eye is something that arises and passes away. That means it doesn't stay forever. This eye is not something permanent. And also you can see that the form that you see is not something permanent. It arises and passes away. And eye consciousness, in a moment it arises and passes away. When you see that way, what happens to you in your wisdom eye? You are seeing something completely different. That you see, it is not I, mine, or myself passing away. You can say when you see that this I is something that's not permanent, when the I arises and passes away, you don't say that it's me that arose and passed away. It applies to the other two factors, the outside form and the process of seeing through consciousness. That also arises and passes away. And there is a whole bunch of other things that happen. Not only seeing, but also hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. All of that has the same nature. All of that has the same nature. So now insight work in your mind that gives another reality that you cannot deny. Then you realize what a truth that I am seeing right now. It's a truth. Right? It exists, but we often ignore this reality. Okay, so the sense of this is how the image of I is broken. It's not broken yet. You have to meditate and see it, really see it, distinctly see it, clearly, identify the whole process. And then you, for sure, now you have heard it, it's just a knowledge. But when you see it in your insight meditation, you know for sure that what this monk told or what the Buddha has told is true. Okay? Let's move to the other page. So we were talking about insight, and what goes with insight is also tranquility. It's like the two sides of a coin. If you look at my palm here, this side exists, but at the same time, this also exists, right? So you can't say there's only, because you see only this part, because you don't see the other side, you can only accept one side. So this is how Samatha and Vipassana work, or Shamatha and Vipassana work in Sanskrit terms. So Samatha is tranquility, Vipassana that we are learning now is insight. They are like two wings of a bird. They are truly like two wings of a bird, the two sides. They're like partners. If one partner is not supporting the relationship, it's hard to maintain a good relationship. So you always expect the other partner to support your way of thinking, your plans, everything, the way you think. So these two really work together in your bhavana, in your meditation, in your cultivation of the mind. So let's read that part. The two wings of a bird, Samatha, tranquility, and Vipassana, insight. There are no rules about Samatha, tranquility, and Vipassana, insight. They are two integral and vital aspects of cultivation, bhavana, of the mind. They complement each other to help or harmonize the different parts of the mind in meditation and daily life. So Vipassana works when you are in the kitchen. Suddenly something comes to your mind and you get stunned by realizing that. And you never know that you had made conditions for it to arise, and now you are seeing it. This is how it happens. It could happen when you are cycling, it could happen when you are in the office, anytime. It just happens. Each of them has a special purpose, that is, when we rightly use them, but they always work together for our mental development. So we have to use it rightly. Sometimes even shamatha can take you in different wrong directions, because you can maybe try to visualize something and you don't undo that, and you go to other places and you still have that image that you visualized and that it bothers you, and then you complain that my meditation is not going well. But the problem here was that the skill and not using insight to have some control over what you are doing. And also in insight meditation, let's say if someone is doing meditation on bodily parts, they call it asubha meditation, contemplating on the repulsiveness of the body. Then you get really disgusted. You can't even eat food. That's the wrong type of meditation. That's an extreme that the Buddha said you shouldn't go that far. Actually, during the Buddha's time, about 500 monks who went to the extreme of practicing the repulsiveness of the body felt so disenchanted, so disgusted about living in a body, and then they killed themselves. They committed suicide. And the Buddha then said, don't ever go to the extreme of this. This is just a tool for you to help understand the reality. And then you forget about that and go doing the rest of the works in your life. So this is why the eye of wisdom has to always be with you before you make hard decisions in your life. And even when you do meditation, it has to be, like even when the Buddha talked about mindfulness, he said it has to be samma sati, right mindfulness, not miccha sati, not the wrong mindfulness. See, we have to be able to really see that all these other flavors exist. And that's why insight and tranquility and wisdom, they all work together to build up a beautiful reality that you can't reject or be unhappy about. Even when you go to work, and when you talk to your friends or go to a wedding, you know that this reality exists, but you have to live in this life in conventional world just like a normal person. Okay, let's go to the next point. So the fourth one, Vipassana is a process, not a goal. The goal is wisdom. Vipassana is the sharp-eyed critic of all this magic show of our own making. Firstly, it notices a familiarity, tiresome pattern in the face of sense experiences. We begin to notice how predictable we are in reacting to what we like, what we dislike, and the unfamiliar. It is as if we are but puppets, controlled by the strings of greed, hatredness, and delusion, pulled by the puppet master, the I. I is the puppet master. So this one monk, I remember he wrote an article, and the title of the article was "Onion is Born." So just see the word onion. You have on, I, on. That's what he saw. I is in the middle. As you are born, you have this on, that is ignorance, and this is on, that is craving. Always guarding you. Always not allowing this, I to leave its realm. So we have ignorance, we have craving. They constantly, really like parents, work together to show this illusion to us all the time, and we stay caught. So on and on, onion is born. So I think that's a great piece of wisdom for us to also contemplate on. So we get very tired sometimes because of one of these getting really to an extreme that we don't even want. This happens. Anyway, so next point, I think this is a sutra from Theravada tradition. You have these sutras in all the Buddhist traditions. Because of the title, I chose this one. You have many other sutras that you can choose. So the fifth point, the benefits of Samatha and Vipassana working together is described in the Samatha Vipassana Sutra. It's in Anguttara Nikaya in these chapters. Like you go to section 2 and it has a subsection 3 and the 10th sutra in there. This is the Buddha speaking. Monks, there are these two things that comprise spiritual knowledge: What are the two? Tranquility and insight. Monks, when calm or tranquility is cultivated, what benefit does it bring? The mind is cultivated, mind is developed. When the mind is developed, what benefit does it bring? All lust is abandoned. Monks, when insight is cultivated, what benefit does it bring? Wisdom is developed. When wisdom is developed, what benefit does it bring? All ignorance is abandoned. Monks, a mind defiled by lust cannot free itself, and wisdom defiled by ignorance cannot grow. Thus, monks, through the fading away of lust, there is the liberation of mind. Through the fading away of ignorance, there is the liberation by wisdom. Lust here actually is tanha, craving, any type of craving. So, like onion is born, it builds this deluded illusion that there is something called I, a self, exists. And with cultivating this mind, when you slow down things through meditation, you are able to really see what is happening, and you don't really complain in that process. You are seeing how it happens. You are not going to question when there is, let's say, some anxiety that happens, some anxiety in you. You never know the root of it. You don't question like why it is happening. You are now seeing how it happens. That is when insight helps you to realize, okay, there is this body, and there is body consciousness, and contact happens, and I feed on it, I complain on it, so I feel like it's so big, and now I have seen the reality, so I don't bother about it. I just let it be there, and then go deeper into our meditation. You have heard this perhaps saying, if you have ever been a diver, they may know this, that they say the more deeper you dive, the less you mind about upsetting waves. So the deeper you dive, the less you mind upsetting waves. So that's what we do then, because we know that we can go to this other place, a tranquil place that gives you much pleasure than any other pleasure you experience in this ordinary life. And then you choose that, and you choose to stay there for some time, and then you sort of feel that you are okay to move forward, and you do the day-to-day activities still with that relaxed, nice, gentle feeling that you feel. So I think that's enough. Any questions so far? This may be confusing, this may be something to complain, or this may be something to think more before you accept it. You don't even have to accept it, you can trash this and go home. Yes.
I think it's beautiful what you wrote and what you said. Very thoughtful.
Thank you.
Maybe more as a person growing up in the Western culture, I have a question about the I, and this is probably super elementary and biggie step level question, but I understand what you've said and what you've written, and I actually aspire to it in a lot of ways. I find it hard to think about the degree to which, and I can speak for myself, not Western culture, but for myself, to sometimes see myself as the actor, as the I. What is me? What is my culture, what is my socialization, what are the expectations of what I should be as maybe as a female, as any number of things, identities. And I think that's where personally I get into most trouble in my life for myself. Excuse me. And I think trying to understand part of it just needs some water.
Mm-hmm.
The issue of what is I about.
We all need some water.
What is this I that can be apart from or coexisting with culture, with family, with obligations, with responsibilities, with which then sometimes, in my experience, sometimes then I think become cravings of it should be this way, or it was this way, it would continue to be this way, whatever the thing is, and how to see oneself in that context, which can be demanding or can be internalized as demanding, and then hard to see how much of who I am, who I'm supposed to be, what I want, what other people expect me to be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, in the collective experience that we have, as well as our own individual one, how we understand ourselves in this.
I mean, we all may have different answers to this, but I thought about this was that the Western world is very much goal-oriented and structured, and we, people in Sri Lanka, want to come here to learn that, because we think that that's the best thing to achieve financial and material goals. And you know, when it comes to practicing Buddhism in this world, you can't really be a person from India or from the Buddha's time and let go of everything and just like go crazy and forget your children and work and all of that. You're going to suffer a lot if you happen to do that. But in Buddhism, there's this other thing that we always bump on that says, the path is, there is no traveler. There is no traveler. And there is Nibbana. Nibbana is, there is no one enters into it. So this is also another way of seeing non-self nature in knowledge. The more you practice, the more you realize that with insight that of course there is no person in this game in which I am part of it, but I have to live my life and I have to forget the negativity and focus on the positive side and be skilled in bringing up the positivity in everything that we are responsible of doing. If not, then we get confused and conflicted. So the self, when I try to teach non-self nature to people in the Europe, I remember they said it's harder for us to, it's easier for us to accept that there is a self than trying to understand that there is no self. That was the conclusion. So, because it's not something that they grew up with, and it's something new, completely new. Although it looks true, it looks nice, and I've heard from Western teachers that they, over the years of teaching, they say that some Westerners learn this, some techniques, and they suddenly start to look at the world like something negative, something to complain, and they are always depressed and unhappy, which is not the goal of the Buddha, which was never the goal of the Buddha. He showed this reality. You can choose you can be a monastic person, and you can really go deeper. You have generous supporters who will take care of you if you become a monastic person in a monastery, so that you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. But still, if you have children, if you have responsibilities, it's the advice of the Buddha that you always have to take care of them. Do all the responsibilities, and when you are done, then you think about the other goal. So we have to be able to balance that.
I think that's maybe my question. I think that really is it, is that balance.
Yeah.
To walk that line, find that balance, and I'm sure it's always renegotiated every moment.
Every moment. I think, yeah. That question is a lot of, insight. It's not a small question, it's a insightful question that makes all of us think that there is no, hard and fast answer to that question, because, when you leave, this place, we don't walk together, we go to our own worlds and try to find meaning in it. So we can do some practice now. I think we had enough talk, because I remember this other monk. Do you have other questions?
Well, you mentioned that it was Europeans that had a hard time with the loss of self. What about in the U.S.? Do you think it's different here?
Yeah, I was talking to the Europeans, so not even local Sri Lankan or any communities here, and they were students. And here I think you all are Europeans, from your ancestry, but I think I don't know, here people question more and still say that we want to learn more about it, and we want to be perfectionists in this, even in the meditation or anything that you happen to come across. I think I see it as a good thing, so that you investigate more and learn more about it. So maybe that's what I have observed. I had to teach more, and actually I haven't been teaching for a long time. I was just studying, and for a year. I kept teaching in places, but here in the US, I wasn't able to experience a lot of Western, people who are interested in meditation. So I'll give an answer in about 10 years. Just see. We can talk more at the end of our group sitting. I remember the story about this one monk from Thailand. He had never given any talk, but he had great supporters. And for years, about 15 years, he had never come out from the forest to give a talk. And these supporters thought, okay, we should invite this monk to give a talk. And they went to the monk, like according to the Thai tradition, they bowed to the monk. And very respectfully, they said, we'd like to hear from you. You've been meditating a lot, and we've been taking care of you. So we like to invite you on this particular day and to this place, and we will invite a lot of people to come to our talk, to this talk. And the monk very kindly accepted. He went on the day that was agreed, and he saw a lot of decorations that people made, because this pure monk who has done a lot of practice is coming. And the monk sat in the chair that was prepared for him, sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and started meditating. 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed, the monk is not talking. And the village headman is now anxious. We were here to listen to the monk, he's not talking. So he went, he thought the monk is fallen asleep. He went closer to the monk and he tapped on the monk and asked, "We are waiting for you, it's been 3 hours, have you forgot? We are here for your dharma." And the monk then opened his eyes and gave 2 words of dharma talk. And he said, "This is not about talking, this is about doing." And then he left. That was his talk. I could have done it actually in the beginning. I could have done it. This is not about talking, this is about doing, and I could have just left. Anyway, let's do some practice. And there is no specific role on how to practice when we do it. You have your own ways of doing, your own comfort ways of doing. Let's go to that place first. And then from there, if there is any insight that arises, you may notice that and you may investigate more about that and see if anything else that you didn't know about that reality. So this will be a guided meditation anyway for those who are new, those who had no chance to come to this place for a long time. So I always have found it easier for us when we focus in one spot, when we do a meditation like breathing meditation. If you try to stay with breath, because it's moving constantly, you may find it harder for you to focus. So let's find some place that you feel the breath and stay with that as mindfully as you are breathing in and breathing out. So that will be the basic meditation to ground yourself into practice, and then there will be silent moments. So we'll be meditating for about 15 to 20 minutes or so. No timeline. When we feel like enough, we will come back to our discussion. First of all, it's important to come to a stilled position of your body. You have total freedom to move mindfully anytime in your meditation. You hear sounds, they are reminding you of the present moment, to be mindful here and now. The future is yet to come. The past cannot be edited. The only property that we have now is now, this moment. Having relaxed in your body, take a deep breath and hold it for a while and release it. Feel the breath spreading throughout your body as much as you can. Keep breathing in, breathing out. You intentionally breathe in and breathe out. We are training in the process of skillfully using our breath or inhaling and exhaling as a meditation object. You can also discover a spot, probably in between your eyes, inside your nostrils, as you feel the touch of your breath. we may not try to turn our eyeballs to see, visualize it. It may give you a headache. We may just feel that spot as an anchoring point for you to come back when you are distracted in your meditation. Having discovered the spot to focus in your meditation, you can now totally allow this body to relax. It's important to keep your back straight so that the body knows that you are meditating, not really dull or drowsy. It may not fall asleep. In the process of relaxing the body, let's pay attention to some parts of our body. To your head, relax and release any tension, any tightness that is there. Ease the muscles. And to your face, put a gentle smile to remind you of mindfulness. Put that gentle smile in your heart as well. And your face is lit with the light of wisdom. Breathe in, breathe out, deeply and gently. And now you pay attention to your neck. To your shoulders, left hand, right hand, your chest, your back. Straighten up a little bit if you want, if you may. Down to your knees. Relax and release any tension, any tightness there. Down to your ankles. Release any negativity that is there. And to your toes. If any part of your body needs your attention, please give some love and gentleness and kindness and adjust a little bit so that you can stay longer focusing on your breath, on your object of meditation. Take a long breath. Release it. Find a spot to focus on, to become one-pointed in your meditation. Your mind gets one-pointed and the thoughts fade away. They disappear, so you feel you have clarity in your mind. you come to your natural breathing process. Like a turner, you know whether you are taking a long turn or a short turn, like a carpenter. You understand when there is a long breath happens, when there is a short breath happens, and you have freedom from everything else. The only thing that we now know is the spot, whether it is a long breath or a short breath. When you get distracted, there is this method called 6 R's. You recognize you got distracted, you release the distraction, you relax, you re-smile, and you return to your breath or the object of meditation, and you repeat this process if you get distracted again. Recognize, release, relax, re-smile, return, repeat this process. It happens in a moment. You can do this in a moment. Then you come back to your breathing. If you feel the relaxation in any part of your body, let it be there. Notice that. And keep going. You may feel like the breath is so gentle and you don't feel it anymore. It disappears. That's a beautiful discovery in our meditation. So that our body is so gentle, so relaxed. Eventually, sense of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and physical sensations will be turned off. Of course, you are not seeing anything. You hear things now, you don't investigate those because those are regular sounds anyway. You don't taste anything now, you don't smell anything now, and this physical body gives us different sensations at different times, and we work on it. We come to a still position, a tranquil position, so that mind also starts to relax. It won't be chatting, the chatter will be stopped eventually. You are discovering your own greatness, highest potential. It could happen in a meditation like this. You are so powerful than you think. Your mind can discover the beauty that is always here with us. The beauty of this world, the beauty in people. And stay in that beautiful space, non-harming to us, to anyone, with boundless love and compassion. Every being is my son, my only child, so I should take care of everyone like my own child. Our pets, our animals, everyone's animals are my child. I give my boundless love to all beings, seen, unseen, born today and yet to be born, heavenly beings, the beings in animal realms, the beings in hell realms, may all be well and happy. I share this peace and happiness with all beings. Anyone who is willing to take may accept my happiness, my peacefulness, and be happy. I give boundless love from my heart. Pure love, pure compassion. It's not me, it is love, it is compassion that heals you and me. It's not a possession of anyone, it's always there. So I share it, that discovery, with all beings. I am grateful deeply for everyone who supports me, who takes care of me, who love me. I give my love. I give all my happiness. Anytime I was happy, I give it to you gently. With that, we stay quiet for a minute before we conclude our sitting. Time to stretch. Feel free to walk or talk. The energy of the group is very good today. That may be why I had a good meditation. So it's time for sharing. Any insight or anything that you want to share? I think that's what Krish usually does. We have about 15 minutes for that. It felt like 1 hour when we did meditation, but it was a short time. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, my what's coming to me is in this like human condition, in this body we're in, and all the imperfection that we have, is can never be perfect. So with all that arises, it's only possible. It has to be possible to make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In all that we do, or how we're going through our daily lives, as she was saying. And then if it's not possible to make the mistakes, then it's not possible to move forward. So we have to be accepting of that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and we never know when we will do the mistake until we do it, and then we realize that we did that again, right? That's my experience, and that's universal.
Yeah.
That's how we all
So, yeah.
grow up. Yeah. So
that's whatever. That's what comes to me.
great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
The onion made a lot of sense to me. The ignorance and the illusion.
Yes.
It's stuck in the middle, and it's like, I want to get out.
Yeah. 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 So, anyone has a small level of suffering that like this morning we were talking about it in the car. Like when I was a novice monk, small monk, I thought I should be a big monk. But when I became, not a big monk, but the monk who I am right now, senior level a little bit, now I have senior monk suffering. And then I go to meditating monk into a forest, then I have meditating monk suffering. And I observe that it just is the nature. Suffering takes its own form, like the water that fits the container. And therefore we tend to make mistakes, and we tend to just forget that we did that mistake, and we tend to do it again. Like you shared with me the other day. So we sometimes get nervous and we get better, and then we get nervous again. Right? This is part of our being. And we never know when we started being this way or recognizing this or that. But one beautiful thing we can do is to accept the mistake, and if it was harmful to us, and if it was harmful to others, we promise ourselves in a good mind never to do that mistake again. That's how we go forward. That's not actually my wisdom, that's Buddha's wisdom. He always asks us to come to this one rule in life. Just think if it is good for you, good for others. If it's not good in either end, you are not going to do it. So you are safe. You are in your own safety zone. That's when actually the Buddha said Satipatthana, the safety zone, the mindfulness practice, the safety place to go. So you do it in 4 ways. You are mindful in your body, like breathing and 4 elements. You practice mindfulness observing those 4 elements, and you are mindful of what happens to this body when you die. It decays. You're mindful that way. And you are mindful when you are walking basically in 4 postures. Like you walk, you stand, you sit, and you sleep. You're mindfully doing those. And you are mindful in all the activities: running, jogging, eating, using the restroom, all the activities, you're mindful. It's not that you really try to observe every single movement. It's just that you know what your mind does when you are doing all these things. Because mind can be doing nasty things when you are doing some habitual things. That's when you are able to catch that moment and change. So that is bodily satipatthana. Body, establishing mindfulness based on your body has 6 ways. Breathing, 4 postures, and all the activities that we do, 4 elements, and 32 parts of your body, and the 9 stages of a body that is decaying after death. So those 6. That's my knowledge speaking. You don't have to know all of that. And I remember he was teaching 4 elements here, and whatever that he was working on, he was sharing with that. So we've done it already. We've seen it, done it, so this is just a reminder. The second way of establishing mindfulness is feelings. We have pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant feelings. So this is one safety zone that we can be in. The other one is the thoughts. You have lustful thoughts, angry thoughts, deluded thoughts. And you are in the safety zone when you are able to catch any of these. And then you skillfully work on, if this is so tiring to me, I should work on how I should learn how not to make it arise again. You use wisdom power there. And the last one is the investigation of any phenomena that you haven't discovered within your being before. You discover sloth and torpor, you discover covetousness, you discover anger, doubt, restlessness. That is a great discovery. You see the snake now, you avoid it and then take a different path. That's what you do. And then you discover the 6 sense doors. That's a great discovery. That's where the whole teaching is based on. All the teachings is based on that. And you observe that, you fully observe that. And you also see externally all the forms, all the sounds, all the fragrances, everything that exists outside, and that you get conscious on those, and then you make a world out of it. So you observe that. You become an observer there. And you can also observe awakening factors, mindfulness. Sometimes you are just maybe exercising, you totally feel like you are mindful now. Then you sit a little bit, and maybe that may be a good time for you to do some meditation. And you do that. You listen to that feeling. And then you do equanimity as meditation, joy as your meditation, happiness as your meditation. These awaken you. That's why they are called awakening factors. So those are safety zones. You don't have to know all of that. You just do what you know. And then you discover it for yourself. So I think that also helps us not to do the same mistake again and again. We have about 5 more minutes. Yeah. I think we should also direct questions to him because he has been our teacher.
If you don't mind, I'd like to just talk about something that's going on in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Please.
I know it goes from my mind to my body, and it's so. This past week, I have this sometimes, but this past week it's been very dramatic, where my shoulders are just, there's so much tension going on in there. And I was just thinking about what, I'm not sure how to frame the question, but it's as if some feeling is directly presenting itself in my body. And I'm wondering how I could reflect on that or use that as an opportunity to investigate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great question. It's a painful feeling when you feel that, right?
Yeah. And it's more exaggerated than usual. You know, it could be that I'm aware, you know, at the end of a week I may be aware that this is like, it's like in bold relief. And
it could be just your physical body is demanding attention on a certain aspect of your body. So I would certainly advise you to be gentle on that and listen to that feeling first, or take medical advice in the first place. If it is a burden, if it is something heavy that you feel, if it is not something spiritual, it's not a meditation pain or anything, it's been there with you for the whole week, and then it may be something to take care of through medicine, like painkillers or something.
oh yeah, no, I understand.
But meditation is a painkiller by itself. So, like mindfulness or any awakening factor, joy or anything that arises, you cultivate more and more of it. That's the advice of the Buddha. And that helps you to establish that happiness or the joy in all the parts of your body equally. Even when the Buddha was sick, he asked a monk to remind himself of mindfulness awakening factor, joy awakening factor, and happiness awakening factor, equanimity awakening factor. And then he was in his normal, he didn't complain, but in his safe, in his easy default place. So for us, the way to investigate is your question. So how do you feel it? Is it, let's look at it this way. There is this body, and now you have bodily, feelings, and you have contact because you are conscious on that. There is this tightness, that consciousness or the bodily feeling or the contact, they all arise and pass away. And it's not you that arose and pass away. There is no link in any of these. When you slow down more and more, you realize that, wow, body consciousness, it arose and passed away in milliseconds. It's a long process. I mean, a stream of consciousnesses that arise and pass away. A human mind can't even catch it because it's just, we are so habitually doing it. This is, I think, what you were asking, how to see it with insight.
Yeah.
So when you see it more and more, you realize that it's not you doing it, it's nothing to complain there, and you can move to something that is lacking in your meditation, like I said, happiness or joy, that you can cultivate more and establish more and make it the bigger part that takes your attention, not this pain. Yeah, that helps, I think. I hope that was the answer as well. Yeah.
So like distracting a child.
Yes.
In a way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, I do that with pain in my knee times really, and
I don't know, sometimes I think, oh, I can't sit anymore, or I used to be really.
Yeah.
And then I would also send breath there, or just, that feeling of loving kindness really inside the body parts.
Absolutely.
And,
They have this relaxation music in YouTube now, and some are viewed by many millions of people, and I definitely will advise you to use something like that to bring this body to a relaxed stage before you go to bed and you go to sleep so relaxed, and you wake up relaxed and you stay relaxed the whole day and another day. That happens. Please use such techniques when you are sort of feeling helpless, and then you are able to ground yourself in your own practice and go forward from there. And they also do past life regression. That also comes with guided meditation. You don't have to go to a past life, but you can just relax in that stage. And there's nothing wrong that could happen to you because you are mindful and you know what you are doing. Mindfulness is the power. Time is up. So, anyway, let's be quiet for 1 minute and then we finish it.